Hello and welcome to the Crone Codes, a gathering place for women of all ages and all stages to remember your worth, your purpose, and your power. I'm your host, the creator and resident crone, Joan Advent. Welcome back to the Crone Codes. I'm your host, the creator and resident crone, Joan Advent. And today I am honored and delighted to welcome Nicola Amadora. Welcome, Nicola.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here with the Crone Circle.
Yes, yes. So I have a special practice that I like to do as I share people's bio. So we're going to dive into that today. And my invitation, both for you, Nicola, and for our listeners, is to close your eyes and to receive, just to receive the wisdom and all of the pieces of what you have accomplished and done as a meditation, and just seeing which of the Crone Codes are bubbling up or which of the Crone Codes are being expressed through who the wonder of Nicola is and all that she has accomplished in this life. So we just take a deep breath, we close our eyes. Nicola Amadora, PhD, passionately teaches the deep feminine and Mary Magdalene's way for decades worldwide. She is a seasoned spiritual teacher, a psychologist, an author, a speaker, a mystic, and a woman's leader. And she has been ushering thousands of women to the Holy Grail and to embody the feminine in the streets of this world. Nicola leads Mary Magdalena in deep feminine retreats and courses. She offers a professional spiritual leader training for women. And she is the author of Love Unleashed. Nicola offers a radical, refreshingly real, and enlivening way, arising from the bedrock of ancient feminine wisdom and true love, so needed now for the turning of hearts and our world. Welcome, Nicola.
That was beautiful to do it that way. How wonderful. Such a great idea.
Yes, I find it is a way to reflect on and receive the gift of who you are, of who we are as it's being reflected to us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. So,
And may I just say, it's also an honoring way of the feminine wisdom. It goes, it's like paving, paving a new way of how we hold that instead of being secondary, being dismissed as it was in the patriarchy.
yes, yes,
Hold it with honor. That's
yes.
beautiful.
To honor, and I would say reverence, and it
Yeah.
is a affirmation of
Mm,
your authority
yeah.
and your wisdom that you bring. And I think for each of us as women, it is so key that we remember our own authority.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know that we had spoken about that. I want to get the phrase right. the feminine life power, which is, I believe, one of your key
Mhm.
concepts, one of the key kernels of wisdom that you are bringing through in this life. So I really want to just open the door for you to share with us what that is, what that means, if there's a story you can share to illuminate that for us. I just want to kind of open the door and say, take it away, Nicola.
I am receiving that invitation in this moment. I can feel it, and I feel like I'm sitting on my horse and galloping through the door. So thank you. Yeah, because we also, I can feel how important and how vital this is to be in connection with the feminine life power, as well as the truth of love. For what you already spoke in the bio, the great turning. The great turning, just to back up a little bit, has to do with the Shambhala Prophecy that was spoken about 5,000 years ago. It's one of the oldest prophecies. And it is said that when life is hanging on a mere thread, when all life is at stake, which
Mm,
we are now in, the Shambhala warriors will rise,
mm,
and with the weapons of compassion and insight,
mm,
will enter the darkest hells of humanity and dismantle systems that destroy life
mm,
in order to bring that sacred forth.
mm.
And that sacred that has been so disseminated, oppressed, especially with women,
Yes.
is the peace that the Shambhala or the Shambhala prophecy points to. It's like that peace is the most essential piece for our survival on this planet and for all beings right now. So just I invite everybody just to feel the beautiful gravity of that,
Yes.
that this is needed. This is not just some new age spiritual bubble. This is like the substance to be connected to that feminine life power that is within us, that we can access, and that is our greatest gift as women. That is the thing, the very thing that can help the great turning in this world that we need so urgently now.
Mm.
And of course, it's connected to the love. But I wanted to say that before I go into the story, because I have a very riveting story for today.
Thank you. I'm really struck by the magnitude
Mm.
of what you're sharing and just the wake up, like the wake up call
Yeah.
that you're bringing through. And I know that you are a powerful voice and presence, not only for the wake up call, but for the medicine. So would love if you could even just tell us for you, what is that feminine life power that you bring and that you teach about?
I feel really excited to teach about it because in this moment, because I can sense the level of openness you have and the level of really being present with this. And so I think the best way I can, instead of talking about it and giving some concepts, which sound nice, but you walk away after such a talk like, what was it again she spoke? I want to actually lead in with a story of how I came across this
Absolutely.
feminine life power, because for the longest time, and this is still true for me, it's all about the truth and power of love. But when I was about, I think, 24. I had been on a spiritual path really intensely already since I was 14, due to a near-death experience and then going to India. But around 24, I felt a strong sense and call. I need to go into the Amazon, into the jungle. Now, I love the wild anyway, but coming from, at that time, I lived in England, but I'm originally German. So you can imagine, like a 24-year-old, really naive at that time. I'm thinking, how wonderful. I'm just going to walk into the jungle and I'm going to meet the native people, the indigenous people, and maybe somebody trains me. Who knows? I was so excited. I had no idea what the jungle felt like, what it is like to be in it.
Mm.
And I was really ill prepared.
It's the exuberance of the maiden.
That was the maiden phase. At that time, there was no spiritual tourism to the Amazon. It was basically nobody really wanted to go there unless you really go to a fancy hotel.
Mhm.
But I stood there. I never forget that moment when I stood on the shores of a huge river. The name I have forgotten. And with my broken Spanish, I tried to convey to those two strange looking guys, like in these ragged clothes, who stood next to a boat, that me wanting to go to the indigenous tribe. They laughed like you. They thought this is a cute blonde haired, blue eyed. What? So I said, okay, for the right price. They would take me, of course. They would take me into the boat. And so I climbed into this wooden, shaggy boat. And already in the boat, I thought, I just put my hands into the water to feel it. And the guy says, no, no. I saw the alligators in there. And I was like, yeah, well, I keep my hand on my lap. And then comes the swarms of mosquitoes. And so it began my initiation into the jungle. And it wasn't so funny anymore. And so, the kind of paradise that I dreamt of after I had like 30 bites all over me. And at some point, I just stopped the boat. It was later in the afternoon. The sun was already softening over the trees. And I said, so there you go out and you go straight and you go left and there's the tribe. And I was like, okay. I climb out with my backpack and just waved them goodbye. There was no path. There was nothing other than huge, humongous trees and howler monkeys and eyes that I didn't even recognize what kind of animal this is.
Mm.
I was sweating, I was hot. I thought, where are they? Straight and left. I thought, I don't know where it's left, when. My mind couldn't figure this thing out. So I just did something instinctively. Later, I learned this was a way to access, not just the intuition, but the instinctual way of feminine who knows the way.
Mm.
I rooted down, I breathed in my belly, I opened my heart, and then I just followed just that instinctual draw that drew me into straight through the leaves, through all the immense big roots. And I forged my way through, and suddenly I turned left. I had no idea why I turned left. I just turned left. I walked on for another half hour, not knowing if I'm in the right direction or wrong direction, and pondering in between, well, if I end up tonight sleeping in there, I was thinking, well, it's not a problem But then I realized there's a lot of spiders too, a lot of animals. I thought, it's not so nice. I was like, please guide me. So I asked, please guide me. And that prayer was like a flame in my heart, and it just kept drawing me closer and closer. And suddenly, I stand in this circle of little tiny huts. Like, I stood there, I thought, there they are. And there were the Amazonian people, that tribe.
Oh,
They're looking at me. I'm looking at them like we're two different kinds of animals.
yes.
Because at that time, they didn't engage too much with the Western people. So, and there was no ayahuasca journey or whatever.
Right.
Uh, they also didn't speak, they for sure didn't speak English. One of them spoke a little bit broken Spanish, like me. So we communicated through hands. And basically, I just made it clear I want to find the shaman in the village, and I want to be trained by the shaman in the village. And again, they laughed. And then I thought, she's really cute. Let's give her first some food. The food was really strange. I didn't know what I was eating. Was it frogs or anything? I had no idea. And I sat with them, but there was this sense of like, I'm in the right place.
Oh,
At some point, the crone, as we would call her, turned out to be a shaman lady
wow.
who came to me, and half the teeth had fallen out. They don't have dentists in the jungle. And she looked at me like, I mean, the wrinkles, there were wrinkles like you cannot even believe the amount, but she looked beautiful. She was like, oh, she was a wise one, and she had chutzpah, the Jewish word chutzpah. She looked at me with this twinkle and said, okay, you want to learn from me. And she looked at me and she eyed me up and down, and then she said, all right, okay. Yeah. I
Wow.
had no idea. I had been with great spiritual masters and, done a lot of training, but this was unlike anything I have ever experienced.
Mm.
She put me through the ringer from day one. She said, because she was testing me. Yeah.
Yeah.
She wasn't going to take me on as a student if I had just this little sweet Westerner idea of a maiden, of like, oh, this would be so cool to be trained as a shaman. And she just wanted to, like, she figured after 3 days I would take a run for it.
Mm.
But she underestimated my spirit. She underestimated me. And I was like, I'm going to show her. I'm going to show her. I'm going to stay. And she threw everything at me, including, sleep on the bare ground with the spiders crawling over you, with all sorts of, tests.
Wow.
At some point, she said, okay, I train you. And then it became serious. And she was no bullshit here.
Mm.
And the first thing was to train to go through any fear you have.
Mm. Wow.
Not in visualizations.
The real deal.
Real. I had to learn to sit with the alligators at the river, and if I didn't do the attunement right with them, well, they just would have eaten me up. So that was that. And I had to learn to walk barefeet, like completely, really learning how to speak with the plants, with the animals, to sense everything. So it was like after a month, I was just a sensing being. There was no more thought. I think I stayed with them about I don't know, exactly 3 months or something. So
Mhm.
there was a level of training that I have never forgotten to this
Mm,
day.
mm,
By the end, and this is where I'm coming to the point with the feminine life power, I know my crackly shaman lady wouldn't call it the feminine life power. She would just get on with it, no words.
yes.
So there was the initiation. In order, in the traditional way, this was the same as for high priestesses. The same thing test was for the true shamans. So this isn't a westernized shamanism.
Right.
And they all have the same thing. It's you have to die in order to resurrect yourself. So, for example, you have to take poison that will kill you, and you have to show that you can bring yourself back. Or you take the poison and you don't die from it because you're so high advanced. Yeah. So I didn't get poison. She had something else prepared for me. But it is always, the initiation is always a life or death.
Yes.
At that time, she warned me. She said, "Do you want to do the true initiation?" And I was like, "Of course, I'm all in." Again, no clue. I was like, I told her I had been meditating in the Himalayas for a month on death and dying. I'm over my fear of death, so it's not a problem, right? She crackled and laughed. She was like, "We will see." Um, um, But she also said, "Do you have a child?" And I said, "No, so it's okay if I go. It would be a fine ending." She said, "All right, we will see." She always said that, "We will see." So they blindfolded me, and the tribe walked with me, and she also walked with me. It was almost naked, walking through the forest, and I could hear the sounds like that were within me, these
Mm,
sounds. I could feel the animals as if they're literally part of me.
mhm,
I could sense the plants like they were growing through my body. So that the sense of total oneness was there.
mm,
I was sweating like buckets because I could feel it wasn't just the heat. I could feel that something was coming that's gonna kick the shit out of me, basically.
mm,
And it was so wet, everything. Yeah, so it's moist, wet. And I had to walk for a while. And for a while, they just kept saying, "Go, walk, walk." And I started drumming. They had these old drums. And I kind of went into a bit of an altered state without drugs. And then she said, "So stop." She said, "What will happen now if you don't do what I've shown you? You will be dead within a minute."
wow.
I thought, okay.
Wow.
And so I could hear this, and I still just can feel it even today. I could hear the steps behind me. And suddenly, someone put an enormous weight onto my shoulders that I almost sunk into my knees. I'm pretty small.
Mhm.
So it was really heavy. And I ripped the blindfold off, and my shaman lady cackled. She said, "That's it, that's it." It's like in some whatever indigenous Spanish words. And I was like, there, that huge head of a snake came right at me. It was an anaconda snake.
Oh my God.
and she was big. Anaconda snakes, when they're hungry, they strangle you to death. They squeeze you to death.
Mm.
My lady, my shaman said, she's hungry. She's hungry. And it was clear she was coming for my neck, and I would just put my hands there, which of course doesn't help. She said, remember. And I, for the world, couldn't remember. I was terrified. I was so terrified that I was like, everything in me froze. At the same time, I had the pressure of like, I have 60 seconds, maybe, to do what I was supposed to do. And I couldn't do nothing. I was just staring at the snake. And then something inside of me kicked in and said, wake up.
Mm.
I took the breath that saved my life. I just leaned back, centered into just breathing 3 times in and out, looking around me, not at the snake, but at the whole canopy of the trees, and listening also to the monkeys, so that I become present, you see.
Yes.
Because I put my hand on my belly and just acknowledged the fear. It had to go all in seconds. It wasn't like, okay, long time, meditate yourself to peace. No, I just said, yes, I'm afraid. And something inside of me is much, much greater. I breathed into that field, opened my heart. How do you open your heart to an humongous snake who's about to swallow you, strangle you to death? You know, I could open my heart a lot, but in that moment, it was, I don't know how to love that snake. I'm about to be lunch for her.
Wow.
I just remembered just felt for a moment the love that for all the animals that I had. And then I looked at her, and because I had to ground, so I did the grounding, I did the presence thing, and then I had to connect with my love to her.
Mm.
I swear you not, in that moment, the snake that was hissing stopped the hissing, and slowly, the more I connected, the more I went into my own nature and could just feel the connection with her, the more she came down, and then put her head on my belly. And I sank to my knees.
Mm.
She wrapped herself around me, not to strangle me, but to rest on my belly.
Mm.
I started stroking that silky skin. You know, it was on my naked belly. She was there. I can feel the incredible life power pulsing through her. In that moment, my life power rose through my yoni and through my belly. I could feel I became snake. The snake, it was like that snake power, what some call Shakti. It moved through my spine, and I started swaying with her. And she just kept doing her thing with me. I could feel that she was giving me the initiation and woke up that true life power. That moment, it was like I was in love with the snake, but more so, it wasn't a separate object. It was snake me one. And that power that rose was unprecedented. I could feel how it filled my body, how I felt so much bigger and strong, vibrant, alive, fully alive. And so much energy was flowing through me. And the snake just at some point just slept for a little bit. And then she slithered slowly away, giving me one more look, like as if she was saying, remember this. Slithered away and found another prey for her lunch.
Wow.
And in that moment, the whole tribe clapped, and my shaman lady said, wow, that's it. Shaman.
Wow.
And that was, for me, you can explain the feminine life power. You can talk about it, but at the same time, for me, this was it woke, it merged, and then from then on it flowed. If I didn't, close it up. But
Wow.
that was the first meeting with that, what I call feminine life power, the origin power of life.
Hmm.
And the snake, the anaconda snake, to this day, I bow to the snakes.
And here we are in the year of the snake, the wood snake.
Yeah.
We're coming, in fact, this episode will come out in December, and there will be just about 6 weeks left
Mm,
in the year of the snake. So I was so struck by just the transmission of that life force. And even when you were describing walking in the jungle, I could feel my own senses like
mm,
getting heightened and turned on,
mm,
and just that sensual
mm,
body of who we are. And the marriage for you of, I know prior to that you had done a lot of meditative, like Eastern
mm,
meditative work, then to go to this very grounded, earthy, and to enter the most wild and primordial space. And for that, that union or that marriage to happen through your body and with the initiation of the snake is, it's such an honor to receive this story
mm. Thank you. Thank you.
and to see what flows from that. Like, what flows from that?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I discovered later. I had to live more and more true to that, because I could also feel coming back into the world was really hard after this. And then to see how much cement we put, what you said, the primordial creation power, how much we, not just suppress it, but we cement it over. And because this was even beyond, the earthy, pagan, whatever. This is primordial. This is hooking right into the power of the pure power of creation.
Yes.
And it had an effect on people when I, traveled, and I always wondered why people have such reactions to me. I don't understand. Some were really positive and some were not positive, because it brought up fear in people. Some people were really like, wow, and some like you, and some people were like, the devil, I've just entered into a room and I didn't even say anything. It had that transmission that you just felt, and that probably some of the listeners feel, has an effect that ripples far and wide. It wakes up, it revives the dead, it heals, it resurrects, it blesses, it sanctifies, but it also is a power that cannot be controlled. And this is the power we've been trying for eons to control. You see it in the rivers, how they're cemented in, how women were also suppressed. It's that, it's the primordial wildlife power.
Mhm.
And it is not to do with running through the streets and going crazy. It's It's power itself. And it does what it does because it serves life. It doesn't serve any human construct. So, of course, it threatens some of the people, it threatens the shit out of them. Because it's just like the snakes. Here I am. Okay.
Yeah.
Either you bow to the Divine Mother, to the primordial life power, and surrender to that and say, okay, do me, or you fight it.
Yes.
The result of the fighting it and resisting it is that you get more contracted in your body, your emotions get more held. Whereas if you actually say yes to this and invite her into your life,
Mm.
you are going to be liberated.
Mm. So
And
go ahead.
this liberation is needed in order for us to actually have an effect in our world.
Absolutely.
And but the effect, like I had to learn it the hard way, is sometimes people are get really they don't like this. So, and some people have reactiveness, and some people will like, hallelujah, thank God. Like the women who come on my retreats say, hallelujah, we want this. We want to be connected to this. But, and I had to learn over time to not let it full blast out into, because I was like, yeah, this is going to knock out half the people on the bus. Hold your horses. Learn how to navigate this because I said it wasn't serving me. It is pure life power that serve unto itself. It's so strong and it has to be connected to the heart. And then once that happens, it's only of benefit. Only.
Yes. And I'm guessing it was a journey to integrate that and how to
Mm,
be in the world with that much potency and connected to that primordial essence
mm.
and power.
It definitely was. It ran against my whole, it challenged me so much because, I wanted to be liked. I was the lovely, sweet girl. I mean, how can somebody like this little woman walk around with this huge power? So I learned how to hide it. I learned how to veil it. I
Wow.
learned to pretend that, no, I don't have it. I did every number on it. You would think I was like, oh, yeah, look at me. No, it was the opposite. Don't look at me. I don't want you to know this. It felt like the secret, and it was leaking out everywhere. It still did its work, but I had to learn to really embrace that and stand in that, and of course serve that, but also to let it trust 100% that it's doing what it's doing as and through me. And first, now in my life, I can say I stand now in that as that, to take my authority in that. Because I also see the effect it has had on people. Like, one woman comes with me into the cave and she truly, I mean, she had 6 weeks to live and had cancer all over her body. And she just really wanted to experience to be on a true, well, Magdalena initiation retreat, not the kind of fluffy thingy. And she, which nobody expected this, after the retreat goes home and the doctors couldn't find any more cancer.
Mm.
And for me, that was proof in the pudding. And
Yeah.
so many I see get woken, their hearts open, the healings happen, the energy starts flowing, and it brings up all sorts of stuff, the traumas and all the stuff that there's a reason why we blocked it,
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, you go in an instant high. You go on, this feels like home. This feels real. This feels connected. This feels so alive, utterly alive. And then comes the fears or the contractions inside that have, because we all have it, we just built a lot of stuff around it. And that life power wants to free it up. So it flushes it up.
Yeah. So for us as women specifically, you are saying that we have an innate connection to this.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
we are born, like in some
Yeah.
ways, this is our birthright, or this is the
Yeah.
true essence of who we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. It's, I mean, we're the mothers who birth life. So it's the creation power. We're the closest to that. And the thing is, we are also the most burdened as women because we were punished for it for centuries, burned at the stake, the whole story. And we ourselves put us, into a pretzel, like tightened up. And even when I hear women teaching about access your empowerment, and I'm like, you're talking about ego empowerment. That's fine. The personality needs that too. But the true empowerment is to come to reconnect, to open the doors and to let the blocks melt and really connect back to that vibrant, alive life power. And then let that move through and as you in in benefit to all.
Yes. So it does require, as you said, the heart, the wisdom of the heart, and I would say maturity,
Yes.
a certain amount of
You
maturity
you need maturity and a character that is not about to manipulate us, to misuse it.
right.
You need to have that's character building sometimes is underserved in the spiritual world. But you need to have also the capacity to do your own healing work in a way that is not bypassing. Because you can lie to yourself, of course, but you can't lie to that life power. It's pure truth.
Right.
No? So,
And my guess is that there was I come from the tradition that there is that, that feminine life power, and then there is the like the support of the masculine, whether it's the riverbanks or the
yeah,
the infrastructure. You're saying,
sometimes it's not support, sometimes it's to control it.
yes, I would
Just,
say yes, in a distorted version, yes, but
uh,
there's something that you have cultivated, it sounds
mhm,
like, and that is necessary, whether it is that maturity, whether it is the even I would say having a healthy ego that can
yeah,
be responsible in a way for
yeah,
this great gift and this great power to know how to use it in a way
yeah,
that is
yeah,
honoring
yeah,
and
yeah.
help.
That's where I would say, the personhood
Ah,
is in service
yes.
to her.
Yeah.
And
Y- y-
I feel when you say the word maturity,
mhm,
it is befitting
mhm.
because there was a reason why my shaman lady was old.
Yes. Yes.
She had it all. She was it. And I could feel that we sometimes believe that in our time now, well, you just need to read a book and then meditate a little bit and do some affirmations or whatever. And you can just fast track yourself.
Right. To Yes.
to, but you can't with this. You can't. You have to have a certain training. You have to, be trained, train yourself, and then also walk your talk, not just talk. And these are the things that the life power is for me is holy. This is true holy.
It's the most holy.
Yeah,
I mean, all life is holy, but it is the
yeah,
essence of the most sacred and the most holy in form, in in form.
yeah.
And you in your work with women is to activate and orient to this or to remember is
All of it. But I also help women to open to it and to connect so they can experience it and embody it. No, this, so it's for those who are more devoted or really love, they then train with me to really, yeah, integrate all the levels too, because you can't bypass your emotions. It's through the emotions that you get in touch with it as well as with the senses. So it's, as you see, it's completely the opposite how I was trained as a Buddhist. I was I was a Buddhist teacher before and literally trained by the lamas.
uh-huh.
And I'm like, well, this is not quite fitting. It says get beyond your senses and beyond your feelings, but with her way, which I call a revolutionary way, is you go through the senses, through your feelings, in order to connect to that original life power.
Which is the feminine way, is to
Yeah,
inhabit the body and to be connected to our
yeah,
emotions. We are
yeah,
multidimensional in that way.
yeah.
So is there anything, we have just a few more minutes left, is there anything you would tell a listener who is curious and says, I want more. How do I begin? What should I do? What do I do?
It's such a good question.
Start on the path, not that to get to the whole thing, but what's the first step?
I love this question because we only have one step every time, isn't it?
Yes.
I think, and I will also walk everybody through a practice, but for this moment, I would say start where you are now, meaning feel into what is alive right now in your body. And that instead of dismissing that, see what it's like to actually breathe into that and worship that
Mm,
as her,
mm,
as the goddess, as the primordial mother, as the holy.
mm,
This shift the relationship first. And then the second thing is, I would say, is see if you can walk through life and notice what's it like if I treat this animal or this person in a shop as sacred?
mm,
How does that feel
mm,
when I do that? Or myself when I look in the mirror. What if I'm sacred, not in concept?
mhm.
Because I'm life.
Right. So even tending the body or how, because for so many women, the way we relate to our body is not holding it as sacred. So,
It's not relating to it as sacred because, of course, it doesn't, my butt is too small, the belly too big, whatever. But if we go deeper than that and just say, the truth of the matter is mother. Yeah, is it's that hand. Look at your hand in this moment. If you just lift up your hand and just touch it, not as an object, but touch it as if this hand is pure life power. It's her, it's the divine. Touch it as sacred, your
mm,
hand.
Mm. Mm.
How does it feel when you do it that way?
Mm. Brings it into a whole different dimension, a whole different relationship.
That's it.
Yeah.
To shift that is I would say the most crucial at first.
Mm.
And then you start acting like that. But it's like too many are walking around and have all these concepts, but they don't feel it.
Right. It's not lived
No,
in a felt sense way.
yes.
Yes.
We can say, yeah, all things are sacred. Okay, so that's nice. But and but if you experience it, you just use the simplicity of your hand, for example.
Mm.
And then
Mhm.
you can like, oh, this is, I feel it, I sense it. Now, how would I touch my animal, or how would I touch another with this hand as being sacred?
Mm. Mhm.
You see, then you take it even more into embodiment.
Yes. And as you said, as we wrap this up, there will be bonus content where you will take us through a practice. So I will put the link in the show notes for that so people can access that practice. We do need to bring this to a close for today, and I want to just thank you from the bottom of my heart. I feel like we've just begun. There's so, there's so much.
It was such a pleasure to talk about this, and especially in your presence, John, because you held it with such high regard, but also you could feel and sense. And so, because the feminine it thrives in relating, so it became even more because of your, how you sat in your seat.
Mm, thank you.
And
I knew there was a reason I wanted you to be one of the early interviews that I did. And it does feel like a blessing or a consecration of the Crone Codes with this life force energy that you brought through today, and myself as the host to be baptized in that, so to speak.
yes, it was a baptism. It was an activation and a transmission. And so I'm honored to have served that way. And may the Crone Codes and the podcast and all who listen to it be blessed and sanctified by that. So, so much love to everyone and to you. Thank you.
Mm, thank you.
And
Thank you again, Nicola, for your willingness to be here and to share so generously. If my listeners would like to go deeper with you or to learn more, where can they find you?
you, you can find me on the internet, of course. I'm not running around in the jungle. Um, it's nicolaamadora.com. That's my website. It's the same as my first and last name. And women also can go there and receive on the feminine page, they can receive a free gift. It's called the Feminine Nectar Meditation and be guided into that. And,
Oh,
the women can find also my retreats and trainings. So there's a lot on offer there in this. What somebody said that your website is like a huge castle with many mansions, so don't get lost in it.
I know you've created quite a few videos as well that are
Yeah,
on YouTube. So
yeah,
you can check that out and your book, of course.
yes, yes. And
And
I,
is
I
there
also
any?
co-authored Magdalena Unveiled book. So
Oh,
yeah, there's a lot there. And I'm looking forward to meet anyone who feels drawn to come on.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So, my dear listener, I want to thank you again for being here and to remind you that whether you are creating ripples or great waves, that you are love and you are loved.
Mm.
Until next time. Thank you for joining us today on the Crone Codes podcast. If you appreciated what was shared, please rate, review, subscribe, and comment wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to go deeper into the Crone Codes with curated bonus content created just for you, join our Crone Codes members community on Substack and receive prompts, tools, and resources for your wise woman journey.